welcome to this next episode of Blender Basics. In this we are going to look at some simple animation using some text. So I'm just going to get rid of the default cube. I'm going to press Shift and A to add a text. There we go, text. If I just come into top view by pressing number 7 on the numeric keypad, I'm going to press the tab key. So I can just edit this. I'm just going to type in 3D modeling, pressing tab to come back out of edit mode. Okay, so just as always, I can scroll around and look at things. I'm now going to come on to our little A tool for fonts. Let's close this down a bit. Geometry, and what this is going to let me do is extrude it. So you can make it as thick as you like. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to have a quick look from the top view, so have a closer look. I'm zooming in. I can also go onto the bevel tools. So if I can just make it a little bit rounder, again you can play with it as much as you like. Okay, I'm pressing 3 to come into the side view, pressing R to rotate. I'm also going to press Control as I move the mouse. This just sort of makes it jump a little bit so I can get it perfectly vertical. Okay, that'll do nicely. I'm going to press 7 to come to top view. I'm going to press G to grab so I can move the font, the text over sort of the crosshair middle bit. Okay, so there's now my writing. Okay, so that's how I can work the text. If you want to change the font, you can just click on Font, regular, because that's what currently selected, and press the folder. This should take you to your fonts folder. So for me, it's C Windows Fonts. It's always a good idea to maybe go into Word or something and have a look at the different fonts so you know which one you're looking for. If I want to change, I could go to that, open font, there we go. But I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to press undo. But again, feel free to play. I'm now going to add some ground. So I'm adding a plane. So that was Shift A again. Plane. I'm going to press S to scale to make it a little bit bigger. It's covering a bit of the G, but this is only a quick test, so I'm not really worried about that. Move it down just a little bit. Okay, now I want a chessboard checker pattern. Now I could load up a texture, but in fact I'm just going to click on the Materials tab. I'm going to press New, and where it says Base Colour, I'm actually going to just choose Checker Texture. Now we can't see any changes, but if I come up here, I can click onto the viewport shading. So now we've got a checker texture. Colour 1's white, colour 2's grey, so I can play about with these. So I could just make that a little bit darker. Instead of being black and white, I could make it more kind of purple. Okay, so I've now got a little texture going. If I click on the font, I can do the same again. I want a new material, but I want to make this really shiny, so I'm going to leave it as white, but I'm going to come down to metallic. I'm just going to scroll this right on up. So it's right on full blast. So it's a bit more shiny, but also I can take the roughness down. So now it's going to be fairly reflective. Now at the moment it's reflecting some random, well not random, but a background image that we've not chosen to use. But I'm going to keep it. Also there's too many not enough tiles. So I'm clicking back on the floor and coming down here, and there's a scale tool, scale. I'm changing that to 10. There we go. So I've got a bit more, and obviously you could play about with that a little bit. Okay, so now we've got some text, and that's really, we've played with text, played some materials, so now might be a good time to pause the video and go and have a play till you're happy with what you've done. Okay, I'm going to animate the camera now. So if I just come right up and out, there is my camera. Now I want to move the camera so it's actually much lower down. I want it to be almost level. Now you can play about with the rotation tools to try and get it the way you want it, but I just find it easy to go onto Item, Transform, and just take out all the rotation. So it's 0, 0, 0. It's now pointing down, but I'm going to click 3 to go into side view, R again, just like I did earlier, to rotate, and I'm pressing Control so I can lock it. So it's sort of perfectly horizontal now. Okay, now another thing. This is a careful mouse click. You can get this wrong a few times. If I come to this top corner, just here, it turns to a little crosshair. If I click and drag, I can have 2 viewpoints. So now if I hold the mouse over this window, I'm going to press 0 on the numpad. And that's what the camera can see. So I want to be able to see what the camera can see at all times. If you've got 2 monitors, you could stretch it across. So you could have your camera viewpoint on one while you've still got the main blender on the other. Again, I'm going to press R to rotate and just point it till it's at the writing. Now I might move this over a little bit. So that's where the corner is. I'm just going to put it back so it's two squares away. I'm just going to rotate it so it's, yep, there we go, it's filling the text in. Okay, this way we can start our animation. Now we're going to do keyframes. So I've already got this playback keying, this timeline down here. So I'm going to hold the mouse over the camera. I'm going to press I to insert, location, rotation, scale. So I'm going to record where the camera is, where it's pointing, and how big the camera is. We probably won't scale the camera, but it's just a habit to be in. So if that's frame 1, if I now jump over to frame 100, I'm going to move the camera over. So again, it's about 2 squares away, so I'm just going to go a bit further onto this one because it's not quite there. It's only approximate for this tutorial. And I'm just going to press R to rotate again till it's filled in from that side. And again, I'm going to press I, so mouse is over here. Location, rotation, scale. So now I can move the slider, and the computers and Blender has basically calculated all the in-between frames for us. Okay, now I'm not a big fan of that. So I'm just going to press play though, just have a good look at it. I don't like how it's cropping all of that image in the camera view. So I'm going to come to frame 50. I'm going to pull the camera right back. I might even just bump it up a little bit, so I might just raise it. Then just point it down a little bit. Again, I might not like this, but I'm now going to press I to insert, location, rotation, scale. And it remembers where it started and remembers where it finished. So again, if I just now press play, I'm still not totally happy with that, but I think I might keep it for this little thing. Now, this timeline is going to keep on going until it gets 250. That's more than I need. I'm going to click there, type 150, and now if I just rewind it, press play, it just holds on that frame for a bit, so maybe I don't even need that much, and then loops back round. Okay, so we've now got a little animation. Now if I just press F12, I'm going to come to my middle frame. If I press F12, that's what it kind of looks like. That's not great, so I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to click on my light source up here. I'm going to move the light source over a little bit. Just come to the side view, move the light source down a little bit. Press F12, is that better? Yeah, it's not great. So I want to put something a bit nicer in the background. Now we can do something called HDRI Images. I'm not going to explain what they are right now, but if I go on to polyhaven.com, I've already been here obviously, and I've gone to artificial light, and I just scrolled through till I found an image that I think is okay, and I've chosen workshop. If I click it, I can just download it. Now there's different resolutions. I've just gone with 4K for now. Okay, so if I just go back into Blender, I'm going to click on my world icon. Where it says colour, I'm going to choose environment. And this is where I can now open that picture. Now this will punish your CPU and GPU quite a bit, so I've got to be more careful. I'm going to my Blender stuff folder, which is where I've already saved it. So I hope I saved it there. Well, I've got lots of pictures in here. Where have I put it? Okay, so what I've just done is I've just changed it onto file view, sort by date, so I can find the file that I'm working with today. I'm just going to press open image. Should just take a moment. And if I just click on this last one, it says viewport shading again. We should never see this weird sort of garage workshop thing, but in our camera view, I'm just going to make this window a little bit wider. That's what we can see. So again, I'm going to click on hold mouse in this way, press 0. Oops, that didn't quite work. There we go, that's what the camera can see. So if I just was to press F12 now and render it, that's what our image is looking like. Got a nice shiny title, got a light up background, doesn't look amazing, but it'll do for now. Okay, so we've now got an animation. My next bit is to now render this animation so we can watch it. This is the bit, you've got to be careful. If I click on the output, I'm using the Eevee engine, we'll come back to that later. Click on the printer, I'm just going to make it 50%, so it's only half HD, as in standard definition. Now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to press the folder, because right now it's going to output to a temp folder. We have no idea where that is. I'm going to change it to my Blender stuff folder. That'll do. I'm going to just call this, what did I just call it? 3D modeling text. Accept. Where it says PNG, if I just press render now, it will render every frame as a separate picture, which in sometimes is exactly what you want, but I don't. I want it to go to an FFmpeg. Encoding, I want it to be an MP4. And we'll leave the other codecs alone, but again, feel free to experiment a little bit. So now when I come up, I should be able to go onto my render menu, render, animation, and it should start rendering the whole thing. It's going reasonably quick at the moment. Okay, so here we have the little animation playing. Again, it's not amazing, but it'll do for now. Gives you the idea of how we can do some simple animations. Okay, now, if we want to make it look nicer, and I'm not saying you should do this right now, but what you can do is click where it says the engine, and we can choose cycles. Cycles is generally a lot nicer quality, but you can already see it's struggling quite a bit to render. Even if I press F12 now just to render one image, it starts to take a while. So it's saying it's going to take about 4 or 5 minutes per, 7 minutes per frame. In fact, there it says remaining 37 minutes. So it does look really nice, but this is where you really want to have a render farm, which is lots of computers hooked up together. Okay, so your task now really is to go and write your own text, animate the camera to move around the writing, and play about with the rendering. Get a feel for the keyframes. See you next time.